Hi there, welcome to Tarot Land Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Gemini energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row is going to be what's going on in high vibe Gemini energy. And the bottom row is going to be what could be going on when we're tempted by our more worldly nature or fearful nature or insecure nature. For some people, they're battling within themselves. You know, we as human beings have this dualistic nature, dealing with other dualistic people in the world. And in our worldly nature, we want the things that we want. But the reason for the top row energy is the Two of Swords. Are we going to listen to our intuition and love to guide our decisions? Or are we going to give in to our pride and ego, thinking we know best and just do what we want to do? Odds are, you know, we learn a lot of lessons in life, and some of you have, like me, have learned some tough lessons in life that when we don't listen to our intuition, things probably don't go the way we thought they were going to go. Because our intuition was given to us as a gift from the divine to help guide us through difficult times in life. So, but it doesn't mean we can't be tempted. The reason for the bottom row is the Five of Wands, which is being kind of in your ego. It's Leo energy. You know, something that we had been working on in our Virgo energy came to an end. And we had dreamed and thought a dream was going to come into reality with whoever it was we had been working with in a job, in a friendship, in a relationship. We had certain people that we wanted to move forward with us in life. And it ended. And we could still, you know, want to manifest a new beginning with those people, or you know, kind of want to keep encouraging them to believe in themselves. But some of those people stayed back here because they harness a more worldly Virgo energy. They don't have to be a Virgo sun sign, but just like all the zodiac signs, you know, we can harness any of these zodiac sign traits in a high vibe way or a more worldly focused or shadowy way. And some people don't want to listen to their intuition, especially if it's regarding love, because they could have listened to their intuition in the past and it didn't work out and they got hurt. So now it's like, nope, I'm just ignoring my intuition. I'm not even going to do anything my intuition says. I have inner conflict about that. I'm going to make my life about the world, or just indulging myself in the things of the world, which is too bad. Because I think every relationship that we get into, it's to help us get more clear about what our truth is. And by coming into contact with different people in the world that have different dreams and aspirations and things that motivate and inspire them. And, you know, we just find out that people can be motivated and inspired by a lot of different things, you know. And we were supposed to get more clear about what our truth is, but sometimes when we can go in shadowy energy, it could be because we thought something was going to move forward, but in the Two of Swords, we could have not been seeing something clearly. The Two of Swords is either we didn't even know, you know, we were trusting it or something, or we, you know, we can just be naive and gullible and we got a lot of life lessons to learn, that not everybody's on the same page as us, you know. The Two of Swords is Libra energy. We could think that the people we were moving forward with were going to be just and fair and love us like we love them. And then we found out they might be in denial that relationships are supposed to be about love and being just and fair in a relationship. And, you know, they could have thought being in a relationship was about putting in work and effort in the world to look like a shining star. Isn't that what we're supposed to be motivated and inspired by? And that would be getting caught up in the illusion of ego. And I think there's a lot of people that are caught up in the illusion of the world. You know, they think that's the only game in town. Isn't that the most important thing? And the world tells us it's how much money you have and how much status you have, and that's what makes you valuable and important. Well, it is if you think it is. You know, we all put in work and effort to have stability and security in life and have some of the finer things in life. There's a lot of people who want to do all that together with people from a place of love because, you know, our dualistic nature is kind of represented by the devil and God, right? If we have all the things of the world, but we don't have love, you know, there's a kind of a long Bible verse about that. You know, if I have all those things of the world, but I don't have love, It's like a resounding gong. It's hollow. It's a shell of what could have been if I had pursued a life being proud of myself, acting with character and integrity, building loving relationships in my life. Then I might not maybe have quite as much. I maybe wouldn't have gotten indulged in as many things in the world that I would have indulged in if I weren't in those type of relationships where I love and care about people. But all those things of the world, become like things initially that seem great. And the thing is, the things of the world are meant to be enjoyed from a place of love. And when we make the things of the world more important than love, those things get a hold on us. And that's like the devil, right? Gets us by the short hairs. And then it consumes our life and it imprisons us and enslaves us. And then our life can become like a hollow shell. And we can become a hollow shell of who we used to be. And, the obvious ones is when people can get addicted to like drugs or alcohol. But, money, I think, is kind of the unspoken one, which that makes me think of that Bible verse that it'd be easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to get to heaven. And heaven can just be being in the energy of love where you get out of your pride and ego, because people get so caught up in having to compete with everyone and have a certain status and have a certain image, and the greed, it's like a bottomless pit. There's never enough, and they sacrifice the loving people in their life to have more money and more status and more image. It's just as devastating to relationships, I think, as the drugs and alcohol can be, but it's like the silent killer in a way of addiction. So you could have been putting work and effort into a relationship with someone who is much more worldly focused, and they would have been happy to stay in a relationship for some of you or some people if you would have put an end to your dreams and put an end to believing in your dreams and being inspired to believe in yourself, because they don't do that. They've stayed back here, making their life about money and materialism, being in their ego, in their competitive energy. They could have put an end to believing in their dreams and believing they could manifest love, or even wanting to manifest from an energy of love a long time ago. When do all these ideas get kind of imprinted and patterned upon us in our life, Some of it can be affected by the people we grow up with and how the philosophy of life that people in our family had. And then ours can just be our own too, Some people wanted you to quit putting in work and effort to grow and mature yourself, because High Vibe Virgo is about putting in work and effort to gain insight and wisdom, dealing with your own inner conflict and your own self-limiting beliefs and your own fears and insecurities. Because, see, we can all get in relationships with people we probably weren't enlightened, and hadn't quite learned how to love ourselves and treat ourselves with love and compassion. So then we can get in relationships with other people who have the same kind of similar wounding as we do. And the whole goal is that we'll both do this work together to probably let go of some more worldly ways of being and align with listening to our intuition and start letting our intuition and love guide the relationship. But sometimes we get in relationships with people and we could be motivated and inspired to put an end to our inner conflict, to have hope and faith and belief in our dreams, to believe we can manifest our dreams into reality. But then we could get in relationships with people who their whole focus is the world and looking like a shining star in the world. And that's what drives and motivates them. I want to look really successful in the world. Part of that is I might want to be in relationships with other people who, if I get in a relationship with them, that's good for my ego and my image and my status, or they're attractive or they're charming or they're successful, whatever it is that helps them look like they're successful too, or it just makes them look like they've accomplished some of these goals in life. Like, look, I got in a relationship. Look, I got married, And that's kind of more what drives and motivates them Because in order to live their life differently, they'd have to be quit being manipulated by their more worldly, egoic nature. And, I'm sure we've all lived enough life at times where we hadn't loved and believed in ourselves, and we thought the answer to our problems, if it wasn't money and ego and image, it could have been drugs or alcohol or being in a relationship. Don't I just go get one of those or indulge in some of those things and it'll make my life all better? I don't have to learn to do the inner work to heal from my own inner conflict. I don't have to learn to have hope and faith and belief I can heal. I don't have to do work and effort to look at life from a higher perspective. I don't have to learn to love and believe in myself. Can't I just be in my inner conflict and just maybe go get in a new relationship with someone else who might look victorious and successful or charming or whatever? It's kind of like, you know, using someone as like a vice, but it's almost like they're interchangeable with alcohol or drugs or money, And I don't think we consciously do that, but I think it's just part of the learning process in life. Because I think one of the hardest lessons to learn in life is to really learn to love yourself and treat yourself every day. You don't control anyone else in the world, and you shouldn't try to. The only person you can control, and you have free will, is to choose every day. I'm going to choose to treat myself with love and compassion and forgiveness. I've made these mistakes in life. I'm a person who, just like when we were children and we were learning to walk and we fell and hit our head on the end table and we ran into walls, and when we were little and we wanted all the toys and we hit other siblings or children with the toys because we wanted them all. But it's like we're perpetually children in life, learning how to walk and navigate in this world. And we have layers and layers of our shadowy worldly nature to shed, to get to where we're enlightened, to embodying the energy of love, and to treat ourselves every day with love and compassion and forgiveness, offer love and compassion and forgiveness to other people, because we realize within ourselves how hard this game of life is. So we accept that other people are having a difficult time navigating this game of life and learning to love themselves and give and receive love. And some people, get really caught up in the things of the world, and it really gets a hold of them, and it can really cause a lot of problems. But, it all serves a purpose. And it helps everybody kind of look at everybody and hopefully decide, I learned that I'm not going to do that just from watching them. A lot of them, we got to learn our own hard knocks. And some of you could have been in a relationship with someone where they wanted to end the relationship because, shadowy energy can be being in pride and ego and competitive energy and envy and jealousy. And if some of you were doing the work within yourself to heal and learn to love and believe in yourself, some people who like to present themselves as being like a pillar of society and, I don't know, they're not selfish, they're not greedy, they're not prideful, they're not egotistical, but they really kind of are, but it's more of them wearing a false mask in the world. If you really did do the work within yourself to kind of trying to be a shining light in the world, where truly being like loving and encouraging to people in the world, not because it'd be good for your ego and your image and how people view you. You were being the real deal, and then sometimes it really can kick at people's competitive energy. And if there's someone who's worked very hard in the world to have this image of who they are in the world and how they present themselves in the world, and you seem to come along and, over time, it seems like maybe you're kind of really in the flow, and it's because you're putting in this work. You're not perfecting a false mask to wear in the world. You've really done the inner work to love yourself and to truly want the best for other people. And you're not trying to manipulate and control people and work on your public persona and your public image, and that's kind of interesting now that I say that, because the Two of Swords being Libra energy, you didn't have to be dealing with a Libra, but we all harness Libra energy, and Libra energy can be that public politician persona aspect within ourselves. Libra is represented by the scales of justice. So it can be, when people kind of harness it in a shadowy way, it can be, I want to have this image in the world and have people view me a certain way. And if they're not going about it from an authentic, genuine nature of being balanced within themselves, trying, loving and believing in themselves and whatever, so they're not kind of operating more from their egoic nature to appear balanced, but truly being balanced. Sometimes that can really bother people because you look like you've kind of manifested that kind of balance, and you're maybe not even trying to people please people. That wouldn't be high vibe energy. You're just living your authentic life and listening to your intuition. And other people could have to work very hard. They could feel to maintain a certain image or status. But the big difference between that is high vibe people aren't trying to appease other people. It's like, I'm just going to live my authentic life. I know I don't control anyone else, and I shouldn't try to control anyone else. I'm going to authentically try to maintain balance within myself, love myself so I don't act out of shadowy energy, offer love and peace and joy to other people. And whoever wants to reciprocate can reciprocate. And if they don't want to reciprocate, peace and joy. I don't know why, but that's on you. I don't know where you're at. I'm okay with it. You do you. And they could, in shadowy energy, being in the ego and trying to have a certain status and image, it is like trying to really, and it can be kind of thinking more from your mind than your heart, and it can be manipulative, thinking if I present this certain persona and image in the world, it'll work out good for me for some reason, and it is more of a mental strategy. And the fact that you could have been accomplishing this and manifesting this when they've put a lot of work and effort into maintaining that persona, but they really never did the work internally. It's like the people who is all conforming with all these rules, like do this, don't do that. Just all these things that people do in order to present themselves as like being a pillar of society. And then other people just live their life and they're not working like a dog trying to present themselves as a pillar of society. I'm like a human being, and I just live my life. And other people could have just even been brought up by people who really impressed that upon them. Let's go look up at these energies up here. Before we go up there, though, I do think to a degree, if we get in relationships with people where, we probably get in relationships with people, again, where we kind of have similar wounding and we could probably think that we have some similar viewpoints on life. Sometimes we can get in relationships with people who present themselves as having the same kind of viewpoints and whatever in life as we do, and they really don't at all. Or they could have similar woundings like we do, but the way they go about handling that is much different than how we would handle it. And a big difference is sometimes some, Gemini energy, excuse me, I have had a cough for weeks now. I'm hoping it is getting better. But Gemini energy is air sign energy of the mind, and how we can use our words and our intellect and our intellect and our words and our charm and socializing and all that. Sometimes some people just think it's all about manipulating the world. And it could be, I don't know, they don't trust just going with the flow. And they could have a lot of inner conflict. So they think, I don't want to do love, or maybe could even sadly feel like, I don't think people would authentically love me if they knew the real me, but sadly they're not doing the work within themselves to have a solid foundation within themselves, to which of course people get in relationships with them and people like them and people love them, but they've never learned to like love and appreciate themselves, and they could have gotten caught up in their own kind of image and illusion. It's like, I've put in all this work to have this certain figure or shape or be good looking or be charismatic or be a witty conversationalist or to have money or status. And then they think because they have those things, That's what they're going to use. And they could, some of them purposely want to use those things to try to tempt people to come and get in a relationship with them and ignore listening to their intuition, to cause people inner conflict about listening to their intuition. So they use those things that they have, their charm, their looks, their money, their status, whatever, to try to manipulate people into not listening to their intuition. Because if they want to stay more in, be in relationships that are more worldly focused, or they want to keep being more emotionally defensive in a relationship, not being like just and fair and authentic and loving and warm in a relationship, kind of more having a more superficial, shallow relationship, indulging in a relationship, but not really authentically having to be themselves. Because high vibe Geminis, it's either love or it's more of living from your mind and maybe making your life more about the world and trying to being more motivated and inspired by the world, trying to get other people to be in a relationship with you because you want those things and you want them to want those things, because if you both want those things, then they'd stay in a relationship with you. And then shadowy people could not like it when other people like love and believe in themselves, because they're getting out of the illusion of the world and making their worth and value based on that, or out of their competitive or egoic or codependent nature, and they're learning to love themselves. And in order for the shadowy people to go with them, they would have to do that same work too. And they'd have to face some of their own fears and insecurities and their own self-limiting beliefs that make them live their life either trying to manipulate people to get what they want, or to appreciate their worth and value and realize they're worth more than what they look like or how much money they got. Anyway, what the people that are in shadowy energy aren't willing to do, which some of the high vibe people did, is the high vibe people quit aligning with these energies in a shadowy way within themselves. And when they quit aligning with that kind of in a more worldly, shadowy energy within themselves, and learn to love themselves and believe in themselves and listen to like love and intuition to guide them, it kind of naturally happens that we distance ourselves from the people in our life who harness those energies in a shadowy way, because we're just no longer on the same page as that anymore. So let's go see what they are. Let's see, how did I do that? Okay. The High Priestess, the Four of Pentacles, the Three of Wands, and the Two of Pentacles. So the High Priestess can be where you might know, or you might have known in the past, that you were kind of fearful of believing in yourself and believing in your dreams. And you did, in your Four of Pentacles energy, kind of cling more to the worldly view of life and thinking of working with the ways of the world and the way, the world tells us, like maybe to view life and relationships and stuff like that. Because you just, the Three of Wands is, I believe my dreams can come into reality. And you maybe didn't know if your dreams would come into reality if you kind of let go of your more worldly view of life to be more balanced within yourself. And just to get more balanced within yourself, you would have had to take some creative, inspired action to listen to your intuition. And previously, you could have had some inner conflict about really believing in yourself and listening to your intuition. So we get in jobs and relationships and situations to teach us how important it is to listen to our intuition. And, we put in work and effort in the world to bring a dream into reality, and we're kind of motivated by the world. And then we kind of realize that what we manifested is causing us inner conflict because it isn't quite what we thought it was going to be. because we wanted love and we wanted justice and fairness and balance, but had we really learned to love ourselves and be balanced within ourselves, or were we still kind of in our more codependent energy and looking to be in a relationship with someone else to make us feel stable and nurtured and supported and all of that? And then we get in relationships with people, and if every, which any relationship, practically no matter at what stage of life or how much you ran your life off into the ditch, it does provide an element of probably stability and security, and it starts to give us hope and belief. But then the difference is, what do people do when they get in that relationship? Do they take inspired action to believe in themselves and deal with their inner conflict so that the relationship can keep moving forward? Some people don't, because they never plan to do that, because it requires going within to deal with some issues that cause you inner conflict. Why have I had these certain fears and insecurities for the last 5 or 20 years? Why am I unwilling to be more open or more vulnerable or more authentic in the world or in my relationships? And some people, they don't ever plan to do that. So when they got in the relationship, it was more like, yay, like, we have all these things and we've accomplished all this stuff, and I like the relationship, and it's everything I wanted. But that's where the difference is. Some people were motivated and inspired to deal with their inner conflict of just being a human being. We all have fears and insecurities and some self-limiting beliefs, and we can all get caught up in some, pettiness and jealousy. And it's like, oh my God, and some people totally get into it. It's like a fuel source. And then other people don't even like it when they feel that way. It's like, why would I feel jealous and envious of other people? I mean, do I believe that, I have a loving relationship, and, that, I mean, how much do we need in life, Anyway, some people don't want to feel that way, so they do work within themselves so they don't feel that way, and to look at life from a higher perspective. But anyway, what some people that you could have gotten in relationships with didn't know, because these cards weren't showing themselves. When you initially could have gotten in a relationship with someone, you could have felt kind of stuck. Again, because you'd probably been in a relationship where someone was hiding that they're more aligned with their worldly nature, which can be, I'm really not open to bringing that dream. If you want to do love, I'm really not open to bringing that dream into reality, just because they have their own fears and their insecurities, or, it would require that they open up more, that they give more freely of themselves. The Four of Pentacles is kind of like, I have this certain way of being in the world, and this is the way I feel safe and comfortable being. And in order to have that dream come into reality, where it's based on love and listening to your intuition, I would have to learn how to love myself, so I'm more open to freely give to others. And I'd also have to quit hiding that I might be more aligned with my worldly nature in an immature way, a selfish way, a greedy way, a lustful way, maybe all about myself, my wants, my needs, my lusts, my greed, my pride, my ego. And you want a more balanced relationship. And so, you could have had relationships that didn't work out in the past. You could have had people that held back from you, and you could have felt like they weren't going to move forward with you. So, you maybe weren't showing that necessarily, but you seemed like you were stuck. Somebody else could have made you an offer to get in a relationship, and you thought, well, here's someone who's willing to work with me to bring a dream into reality. You could have gotten in that relationship, and by worldly standards, it could have seemed like you had it all. But then these other issues that I talked about eventually showed themselves, and realizing having all the things of the world isn't enough. I want, a just and fair and loving and more open, authentic relationship that, some people are more focused on staying in the relationship because of ego and image and money. I don't have it. And if they're more motivated and inspired by those things than love, my dream can't come into reality with them. And they could have thought you would never leave because of your ego. But what they didn't know about you is that you do listen to your intuition. And if your intuition told you to hold back from, you could have been in a relationship with someone where, that was their dream. And, it's like, we've got it all. Why aren't you happy? Well, eventually you could have felt kind of manipulated in the relationship, because if it's not based on love, shadowy Aries could be where, and the Ace of Wands, it could have been more like you almost felt like you were in a relationship with someone where it's like, we have it all, and like you have sex with me, but I don't feel like we have a deep, meaningful relationship. It's more like we have sex, and that's not my dream life. So if your intuition told you to hold back because you had different ideas of what the dream life would look like, and for them, it could have seemed like it was great, and for you, it's like, I want more than that. I don't want to cling to these old ways of being where we never grow and mature ourselves and let go of some of those old ways of being. Like you do in life, you let go of some more of the old ways of being to grow and mature yourself and do things differently. And you face some of your fears and your insecurities. And you could have wanted a more flowing, balanced type of relationship versus one where you could have felt really, could have even been with someone who eventually it kind of seemed like they were, I don't know, controlling or bossy. And you wanted one where it was more flowing, where there was more equal give and take, and, that everybody's their own individual. And some of the people you were in a job or relationship never thought, they could have thought their dreams were going to come into reality with you. And that you would think this was a dream job or a dream relationship. But the only thing was, when you got in the relationship, they were hiding that they're kind of bossy or controlling or kind of prideful or egotistical or self-centered or selfish. And they thought, for whatever reason, once you got in the job or relationship, that you would just juggle, listening to your intuition and the inner conflict you had about staying in it. Because you were in loving, balanced energy eventually, and the other people weren't ever getting to a loving, just and fair and balanced energy with you. And eventually you said, no, I've been going back and forth long enough, and some other people in the world right now that are in a mismatched relationship could be going through this, where I've been juggling long enough, and the person that they're in a relationship with doesn't realize that they've been doing this work behind the scenes to believe in themselves and to free themselves from their own being manipulated by their own fear and insecurity and codependency. We can get in relationships with people in whatever state that we're at. But sometimes, some people are motivated and inspired to grow and mature themselves, and the other people aren't. The other people purposely do things to keep you in your fear or your insecurity or your codependency and try to manipulate you and cause you. Some might even try to cause some people competitive energy right now. If they've been doing things and the people in their relationship keep seeming to maintain their balance and loving themselves and listening to their intuition, and no matter what the person does, the other person is like, I am maintaining my balance. It's this whole thing. Like, if someone else starts jumping up and down and throwing a log on the fire, you don't have to start jumping up and down and throwing a log on the fire. It's just let them do what they do. Quit playing the game. Because that's what manipulation's like, right? I'm going to do this and then you'll do that. And then I'm going to do this and then you'll do that. This is how the game is played. And when the other person's like, I'm not playing the game anymore, I'm inspired to love myself and believe in myself and stay in a place of peace and if the other person does what they do and you're not reacting, it's just like, well, you're not playing. It's like somebody throwing a ball at you and it just drops on the floor. And it's like, well, you're supposed to catch it, and then you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. It's like, I'm not playing the game anymore. If you want to go do that or act that way, you do that. And I'm going to go do whatever makes me happy at the moment in peace and love and balance. And eventually, sometimes in order to get someone's goat, they'll up the game up and up and up to try to get a reaction. And if none of that works, eventually they don't want to be in the relationship anymore either. Because you're not playing the game and they want someone to play the game with them. If they can't manipulate you, that causes them a lot of inner conflict. Because again, that could be a way where they feel powerful. I do all these things that cause inner conflict for my partner. Then my partner feels manipulated. My partner keeps trying to work on the relationship and make me love and believe in myself or whatever. And then we just do it round and round. And eventually some people are like, I'm tired of playing that game. And I'm going to start putting in work and effort to believe in myself and get balance within myself and start listening to my intuition. And when they start listening to their intuition, they no longer want this dream. And they're inspired to believe in themselves. And they could have fear of taking the action they need to take because they know it's going to cause a fight and an argument or just upset other people in their life who live their life that way. Because you can just know people who live their life and make their life all about illusion and look how happy we are and look how wonderful it is. And they didn't really pursue relationships with people that they really love because they get hurt doing that. That was too emotionally confusing. No, I'm going to settle for this person and we can look like we have it all. And then I don't have any fear of being hurt and I don't have to deal with my emotional confusion and I don't have to look at life any differently or grow and mature myself. And I'm just going to live this relationship where it looks like we have it all. It's just not really love. And the difference between the high vibe people and some of the low vibe people is that the high vibe people were willing to cut the people out of their life who were trying to manipulate them, that wanted them to keep living their life that way, who really didn't have their best interests at heart. When we're in shadowy energy, some other people don't want us to have our dreams come into reality because they don't plan to live their life any differently. And it's like they would feel bad if our dreams came into reality instead of being happy for us, And that's when they realized that, some of the people in their life were secretly holding back from encouraging them to be more balanced within themselves because they didn't want them to be more balanced within themselves. Some people that we can get in relationships with purposely hold back from us so that we stay focused on them instead of maintaining our balance and listening to our intuition. People who want to be in a balanced, loving relationship with us would be in a balanced, loving relationship with us. So if any of you have someone that you were hoping would move forward and be in a relationship with you, we listen to our intuition and, we can only keep our life on hold for so long. And it's like, if people were motivated and inspired to balance things out with me and work things out with me, they would. And if they don't, there might be some other things and people that they're more motivated and inspired by. And if it's not an equally balanced, loving, just, fair relationship, then they're not the person for me. And I need to hold back from those people and believe in myself and maintain my balance and keep listening to my intuition. For when my intuition tells me it is time for me to take action on what my intuition is telling me. What's coming up for the people who harness high vibe Gemini energy? The Two of Cups, because of the truth. It takes time. Same way if it was a job or a relationship, it takes time to work through it. And when we're ready, and if we listen to our intuition and ask God for signs to help guide us, I think we'll be given the sign when it's time. And if you had already gotten out of a relationship like this, you're listening to your intuition about when it's time. And, we can try to force the wheel in our favor, and we can act out of lust and greed and pride and ego. But the divine wants us to have our divine inheritance. And if we take action out of, well, you're taking too long, God, let me take a handle of this. I want what I want. It's like, well, okay, you can go get what you want. It'll probably just not turn out the way you thought and cause you a lot of inner conflict because it's not aligned with your truth. If there was, it's like we don't have to force the wheel. We just have to go live our life authentically, and the divine is working on people. And then the whole idea that we energetically are just giving off an energy, and if the right people were energetically aligned with us right now, we energetically would come together. So just go live your life, and it will all just happen naturally. We don't have to force the wheel. But I think what this is saying is that you're going to get clear about the truth if you've been working through, detaching from some people or things in your life. And you're going to get clear about the truth and get more and more clear what is loving, what isn't loving, what is just and fair, what isn't just and fair, what is acting with character and integrity, what isn't. We all work with people who had the opportunity to be open and honest and authentic and just and fair. And the people who didn't choose to do that, yeah, it might be true they're manipulated by their pride and their ego and their lust and their greed, but that means they're a couple books behind on learning lessons in life and valuing and appreciating people who are loving and just and fair. And if they're not willing to put in the work and effort in a loving relationship, well, then they probably got some hard lessons to learn. And it probably goes to show that they were several books behind on the lessons of life. And they could be, it's just to see the truth, because the truth sets us free, that we don't have to take it personally about our worth and value and if we're lovable or whatever. If they're more motivated by the world and they're more motivated by money and materialism and status and image and love, it might have caused them a lot of inner conflict also. But if that's what they're driven and motivated by, and that's more important to them than love, and they really want those things, and they didn't know if they could manifest those things themselves or with the loving people in their life, they wanted what they wanted. And if they had an opportunity to look like a shining star and look like they had it all, then it wasn't about being patient. I want what I want. And, we just got to see that some people we were dealing with weren't truthful, weren't just and fair, aren't very disciplined, might be kind of prideful and egotistical, might be kind of self-centered, might be selfish and greedy. And it doesn't have anything to say about who we are. I mean, if you'd had the things of the world that they wanted materialistically or whatever it is that they value, would they have stayed in a relationship with you? Maybe, but eventually, if that's what they're driven and motivated by, eventually if someone came around with more status, more money, more image, they would have left anyway because it wasn't love. The divine, if we weren't seeing the truth, the divine wanted us to see the truth of the people that we were aligned with. They were hiding that they were more driven by the world and wanting to maybe be in relationships with other people who are more motivated by the world, or they have a lot of lessons to learn and they're still drawn and attracted to people who hold back from them and don't offer them love because they could have been wounded like this before and they didn't see the truth about the people in their life. who are maybe kind of manipulative or controlling or hurtful or unkind, and they're still drawn to trying to get people like that to love them. Getting people who are loving to love them, well, that doesn't count. I've got to get the selfish and the greedy and the prideful and the manipulative people to acknowledge my worth and value. And they're going to have some hard lessons to learn, because good luck trying to get people who are selfish and manipulative and prideful and egotistical, who've already shown you that that's who they are, to get them to love you. And some of you have already been in relationships with people like that, and you know that it's just like dealing with someone who's immature and reckless. It's just some people are prideful and egotistical. Some people are wounded and they haven't healed. If they were open and available to love, I think they would. I also think other people are going to see the truth of you. There could be other people in the world that have been listening to their intuition, waiting to find the other people who've learned these lessons and gotten out of those type of relationships. And they've been listening to their intuition to find someone like you. And when they find someone like you that, what? You're not petty and envious and jealous and manipulative and controlling and self-centered and materialistic. Oh my God, thank you, God. And you're going to find those people. So I think you're going to get in a relationship because someone is going to talk to you, or you're going to get in a relationship because of someone you talk to. What do the people, and you're going to live your life listening to your intuition because you've learned the truth. If I do it in pride and ego, I'm just going to have to learn hard lessons, and I don't want to do that anymore. What's coming up for the shadowy Geminis? I think they're still in denial about their foundation. They operate more from their worldly foundation, but they might not want to see the truth of that. If they are kind of self-centered or materialistic or worldly focused, they might not want to see that that's why they rejected some loving people in their life. The truth sets us free, but some people don't want to see those traits and qualities about themselves. And some of them are still stuck on other people who are more aligned with the world. And they're still trying to get people like that to love them and acknowledge their worth and value, because they haven't learned to love and believe in themselves. It's like, I have mental conflict. If someone I tried to get in a relationship with me chose to not be in a relationship with me, that caused me a lot of mental conflict. Why don't you like me? Why don't you want to be in a relationship with me? It's like, well, is that person more motivated by money and materialism or status or image? Were they just manipulating you? Did they never have any intention? Are they kind of manipulative and prideful and egotistical? And some people just don't want to see the truth about themselves or the world, how it manipulates them, or other people in their life. So I think they're going to keep repeating this pattern, staying stuck until they're willing to see the truth that if they have people in their life who aren't working together with them cooperatively in a relationship that's balanced, maybe the people in their life are trying to manipulate them for their own selfish, greedy, prideful reasons. This is great. I'm not going to be in a relationship with you, but damn, that builds my ego that you keep looking back at me instead of seeing the truth. And I'm going to go do whatever the hell I want while you're focused on me, living my life, indulging in the world. That's cool. Don't move forward with the loving people in the world. No, you stay right here. God dang, that makes me feel powerful. That's like the devil, right? The devil wants you to stay focused on the things of the world so that you don't choose love. Because then your dreams really would come into reality. So, there you go. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.